Alright, you guys, I am back and I'm going to be doing a deep, in-depth dive for, pretty much all the archetypes, not just meta ones, going into June. Um, with the Biofuels being limited, it was announced that two of them, Magma and the other good one, are going to be limited. Starting off, that changes a little bit of how they were going to impact, and we recently got the list announced that is going to be in effect on the 8th. That is going to make Cyberstein, Smoke Grenade the Thief, and Terraforming banned, and then Keldo, Mudora, and YuGiOh are going to be limited, and then Sprite Blue, Girisu, the Mech Knight, Nadir Servant, Metaverse, Cyber Angel, Ben 10 are going to be semi-limited. We're talking about how this is going to impact the meta going into June. So first off, we're going to start with ABC. This is pretty much off meta. It's kind of just barely dangling for off meta. You have some options with Therion to have extra negates for the engine, but this deck is just really going to struggle to compete with everything in Tier 1 and Tier 2. Notice how there's no Tier 0 this time around, and that is because there's tier elements with these hits. It's still going to be the best deck of the format, don't get me wrong. It's going to be the best deck by a bit, but it's definitely not going to be pretty much like the only deck that can really compete in the meta, because that is what I kind of felt like was happening playing in both Platinum and Diamond in the past couple of formats. I was pretty much just seeing tier after tier after tier after tier, and it was just mere match city over and over again. And I think that's going to be a little bit better going into this meta with the hits that we've gotten. The Arcana Force, the World, FTK, it's just flat out bad in this meta. It's not really good to begin with. People keep asking me to talk about this. It's bad. It's just not good at all. Danger as an archetype is mad, but Danger as an engine is good. So that's why we have this better as an engine category. It's for decks and archetypes that really you don't see just as their own thing. They're mainly an engine. Like, you shouldn't be ranking them as their own archetype. They should really just be, hey, this is an engine. So that's why we put that there. Which brings us to Adventure. It's better as an engine right now. Tier 2, we're going to put Emancipator. I was kind of wrong about Emancipator. They're still decent. They can still put out decent boards. I feel like they're going to be kind of dangling off the end of Tier 2, but I do feel like they're relevant enough to be considered like main meta instead of off meta. Ancient Warriors, they're just bad in this meta. There's just too many decks above them that can easily outplay them. And I'm actually going to put the better as an engine down under flat out bad. This doesn't mean it's worse, it's just different. Cyber Dragons. Cyber Dragons and Cyber Dark can be off meta. You're not going to see Cyber Dark really, but they kind of go together, so that's why they're there next to each other. Artifacts at this point, they're better as an engine. That's pretty much all there is to say about it. Black Rose as an archetype, it's better as an engine. You're rarely going to see anybody just flat out playing like all the Rose cards. There's probably going to be Sun Avalon or like Rika or something with them. Blackwings. So I'm actually going to put Blackwings at the end of Tier 2. The reason I'm going to put them up there is because I see a lot of them while climbing Platinum up to Diamond. I see a lot of them. Just so many Blackwing decks. And sometimes I do lose to them. I mean, sometimes they just have the OTK with the Diablos where they can basically put it on your field and just loop resolve the big, Blackwing Dragon effect to burn you to death before you can even do anything on your turn. So they're decent enough. They definitely deserve the Tier 2 spot. Brandon's getting more support, and I'm going to tentatively put them at the top of Tier 2. I don't want to put them in Tier 1 territory. They might very well kind of go back to their former glory. I do feel like they are going to be more playable with your opponent only being able to use like the Medora and the Keldo to put stuff back from your grave. I do feel like that's going to help them a bit. They only have one copy of each. You're also going to be able to run Bestial with them, which is really going to help. And the new fusion they're getting is also just really good. So top of tier 2, we might move up to tier 1 later. I actually think that the Despia version is going to be behind like the Bisteel version. I do think that you're still probably going to run the starter to get branded fusion easily, the Jester. But I do feel like the Despia version is actually going to be not as good as kind of like the pure branded Bisteel or Chaos version of branded coming up. So next we have Rocket Link. I'm actually going to put Rocket Link down here. I'm going to put it behind Blackwing. I might change that. That's mainly because I don't see a lot of representation for it. The deck's kind of fallen off. It is going to get probably a little bit of help from some of the cards in the new set, but I just don't really feel it's super viable. I'm almost tempted to put it in off meta in tier 3. Dragon Maid, representation's fallen off, but still out there. It's still off meta. So Dogmatica I'm predicting, because I think we're going to get the Ritual Fusion, and I think we're also going to get some good stuff for it. I'm predicting Dogmatica is going to be tier 2 material. I'm actually going to put Dragon Link behind it. Chainburn, it's off meta. Exodia, it's flat out bad in this meta. There are too many decks that still use the Runic engine. You'll still see Runic and Runic Manchuria or Runic Sprite or just other Runic decks. You get a piece banished, you auto lose. Flunderies, I'm actually going to put Flunderies next to Branded and Branded Despia in tier 2. They're losing to Terraforming, but they still have 2 copies of the Field Spell, I believe. Gate Guardian, this is just flat out bad. Even if we get the Peace Fusions, this is still going to just be pretty bad. It'll eventually have its time, and I'm waiting for it. And I'm really hoping that we get it in Master Duel at some point when it's playable, because I really want to play Gate Guardian. I like the Contact Fuse mechanic in it. It just seems fun. Battle Lost, flat out bad in this meta. They do have some support from the Insect support, but Inzectors or Inzector B Trooper is just a better option. Gemini OTK FTK is off meta. I'm actually going to put it lower than Chainburn because I feel like successfully pulling off the OTK or the FTK is actually harder with the current meta for them than it would be for Chainburn. Words I never thought I would say. Next we have Rainbow Crystal Beast Shenanigans. They're just flat out bad in this meta. It's not good. It would even get clobbered by like Dragon Maids. Exo Sister. I think I'm actually going to do this. And put Exo Sister in Emancipator's tier 2, but put Flu and Branded up in tier 1 for predictions. The gap between tier and Branded is still going to be big. Like, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's like a tier 0 gap anymore. Nordics are flat out bad in this meta. Cubics are flat out bad in this meta. I think DDD is better than Rocket Link at this point in time, just because you can still make a board that looks very similar to the Emancipator board and very similar to the Rocket Link board, but just better than the Rocket Link board. Invokes is better as an engine. The Sacred Protector, like a Shizu stuff, is also just like an engine. You're definitely not going to play it as a deck with like having one of each of the key cards now. That's just not going to happen. I don't want to say Infernoid's flat out bad in this meta, but like if your opponent mills your stuff, you can do things and you can kind of have shenanigans. It's definitely not very good. I feel like it's right here, like ahead of Chainburn, but behind Dragon Maid. Ice Shade's just flat out bad. I feel like it's better than the other decks that are flat out bad. Let's put Exodia way back there, that's trash. Altergeist. definitely off meta. Evil heroes, they're just way too slow right now. They're just flat out bad in this meta. There we go. Some organization to that. A Romage and all of a Romage's shenanigans. I guess they can be off meta, but they might get moved to flat out bad. They're just not very strong. They do have Sun Avalon and Rika support though. Inzectors. Man, Inzectors like the same logic. They're going to get even more support with some of the new cards being given to them, and they just keep getting insect support. I'm actually going to put them in off meta, just because the more insect support you get, they can come out of left field and win. I have switched to playing them during Diamond or Platinum, and had some luck with them, which is really funny, but they definitely will get clobbered by like everything above it. So Live Twin, if it's Live Twin Sprite, I'm going to say like right here. Hero. Hero's not in the best place right now, but it does have Dark Law, and a lot of people are splashing Dark Law into things with Mass Change 2, like even splashing it into tier. Dark Law is a great card. I think that Heroes, just because of Dark Law and because of how bad it can disrupt a lot of the different decks that are in the meta, it could go ahead and be the king of off meta. Menju Banish, it's a thing. I am going to put it in tier 3 for off meta. I do think that Banish shenanigans are still good, even with tier kind of being worse. Destiny Heroes, same logic as Heroes, but worse. Just like they do not have as many options as Heroes. You can play hero extenders, but like if you're going for like the D hero theme, I'm actually going to put them in the better as an engine category. And that's because you don't really see many people running just flat out like Destiny Hero, Destiny Hero. You see people running like Malicious and Destiny Fusion and just stuff from the engine, not like the entire deck basically. Hot take, but there we go. Ancient Gears are just flat out bad in this meta, but they're going to be the king of just flat out bad because they can come out of left field and just kind of beat you over the head with huge beat sticks like Blue Eyes, except with less relevant options than Blue Eyes and even less protection than the Ritual, the Chaos Max, which brings us to Blue Eyes. I'm going to put them in off meta. I'm going to put them in off meta. Head of Chainburn. I feel like that's fair for them. They're not, I mean, they are like really bad in this meta, but they're not like Ancient Gears or Gate Guardian bad. You know what I mean? Bujin, they're flat out bad in this meta, and Kaiser, even Kaiser being at 3 wouldn't really help him at this point. Crusading a Mech Lord, like blind going second shenanigans. Kind of the same logic as Blue Eyes, except I feel like it's actually a little bit better than Blue Eyes. Plus, when you kaiju your opponent to set up to beat over the kaiju to win, you can kaiju like a Runic Fusion, like one of the big ones, and that can really get you where you need to be. So, for that logic, I'm going to put them just like ahead of Blue Eyes. I'm actually going to put them ahead of Infernoid, but behind Dragon Maid, and I'm actually going to move Cyber Dragons down. Yeah, I like that better. Eldritch. This deck's pretty much dead. Floodgates are hit, most of their key cards are hit. You rarely ever see this being played anymore. It's better than Inzector, I'll give it that. It's better than Arrow Mage. I actually rather play Altergeist than Eldritch at this point. If I'm going to play a back row deck, I'm going to be real with you. I'd rather do the Altergeist Return to Hand shenanigans. Dark Magician does not get the same treatment as Blue Eyes. It is just flat out bad. Better than Ancient Gears, but it's flat out bad in this meta. Even with the support, I've tried it, it's not good. I'm actually going to put Gravekeepers at the ass end of off meta, and I'm going to do that because they do have a fantastic tier matchup. Pretty much anything else, they're going to just get beat over the head by. But like, if you are intending to only play against tier players, and you're intending on only ever going first on the coin flip, sure, why not play Gravekeepers? Cosmo. So Cosmo can't be targeted, which is nice, and they can't be targeted to like have their stuff returned to the deck or spun back to the deck. And even if stuff gets spun back to the deck by tier, it's not even like that bad. But you're really not going to see Cosmo be played. I'm not going to put it as being flat out bad because like it's viable enough to where I feel like you win against everything in the flat out bad tier with it, but it's not really good either. So I'm just gonna put it ahead of GK. Endymion, if you go first and get set up, it's still the shenanigans. I'm gonna go ahead and actually put that. Actually, gonna put that in tier 2. I'm gonna put it ahead of Rocket Link. It's still more consistent than Rocket Link. Evil Eye, just flat out bad in this meta. It's actually even worse than Dark Magician in my opinion. Machine Toolbox is off meta. You're not going to see people playing it. The deck's not very good. Probably better than GK. I think I could even beat it with Cosmo at this point. Crawler, even Crawler Sprite, it's just flat out bad. I've tried it. I wish it was better. Crawler is going to go down here next to K Guardian. Magispector, let's actually put it like that. There we go. Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss floats. Burning Abyss does things. It's still not very good in this meta. Put it right there. Galaxy Eyes, Photon Shenanigans. It's bad. Same logic as Ancient Gears. Labyrinth, it's too slow. It's basically Eldritch 2.0. I do think it's better than Eldritch at this point. I'm going to put it next to Altergeist. Madolche, below Eldritch. Ignister, at Ignister, you still got that 5,000 attack monster, the like unaffected towers monster. What are most decks in the meta going to do to it? Like, what's tier going to do to it? Blackwing could make like full armor master and just kind of like not give a fuck about it and also be unaffected. Or Blackwing could just keep setting up the burn for you. But I feel like adding Nestor is pretty good. I feel like these two could be interchanged as well. Like, they're kind of both equally as good. Circular Spam, very consistent. I'm going to put it right here. Marinsis. Deck still has a really mean going first combo. If you go first with it, you're going to have a good time. I do feel like it's more tier 3 than tier 2 at this point, but it does have a good matchup against some of the decks above it. If you get Kaiju'd, you're really in trouble though. Naturia Runic. Y'all are going to think like I'm on something, but I'm putting it in tier 2. I had no problem getting into Platinum 1 with Naturia Runic. Even with Runic having like being up pretty much full power. Not Runic, being tier being pretty much full power. The ability to set this up and just have constant negates with the Sunflower puts your opponent in a hard spot. So Byseal, I'm going to say it's better as an engine. Pure Byseal is also probably like possible. I'm just going to put Byseal Shenanigans in tier 2 kind of up here because the Byseal is just good, you guys. Like, it, even with stuff being limited, it's still good. Mayakashi, I feel like it's better as an engine. I feel like the Link monsters are better as an engine, and running it with zombies is just better as an engine. How many times can I say that? Oops. How many times can I say that? A lot, apparently. Mutant, bad in this meta. Neuron will always be Neuron. I feel like Neuron is going to be good enough to be in tier 2 because you will always see it represented in like every level of the meta, every level of the ladder, and you'll always see people like winning with it. It just kind of happens. I love playing against Numeron with Naturia though, because whenever I know that my opponent's gonna be playing Numeron, like I activate one of the runic cards and I banish something that tips me off to it being Numeron, I'll actually set up Naturia Horn Needle next to Camellia. And Horn Needle is whenever someone special summons monster or monsters, you contribute a Naturia monster and destroy them all. So like they activate the effect, they special summon the 4 gates, and you just go Hornet and you pop all the 4 gates at once. It's nasty. That's another reason why I like that deck going against things that are below it, is Hornet or Sunflower basically takes care of all of them. And while Hornet or Sunflower can take care of the ones above it, sometimes they can out-resource it. So, Dark World, bad in this meta. Dinosaurs. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm putting Dinosaurs in tier 2. It's one of the better rogue options, if you ask me. Lunalights, flat out bad in this meta. Ogotic, flat out bad. Nurse Burn, flat out bad. If you want to run Burn, run Chain Burn. Zombies as like a deck, as an engine, to be kind of like anti-meta zombies. I feel like they're tier 3, and I feel like they're decent enough to put up above Menju. Umi Control is too easy to out in this meta. It's definitely not terrible, and it's better than Gravekeeper, so I'll put it there. Drytron Herald. So Drytron Herald's getting some resources back. They're getting the Cyber Angel Benten back. I feel like this deck is going to have a resurgence. I don't feel like it's going to be super strong, but I feel like if people wanted to play it, they could play it, and it would be like somewhere up in here in like the higher tier 3 off meta picks. Phantoms and Spiral, you rarely ever see it. It's too easy to out. It's going to be our king of just flat out bad in this meta. Plunder Patrol, same logic, too easy to out. Prank Kids Emancipator, Prank Kids in general, Prank Kids doing Prank Kids things. I feel like it's good enough to where it can be in tier 2, but not like any better than tier 2, if you know what I mean. I'm going to show you all where I put it. Right up there. Next we have Phantom Knights. Phantom Knights, you're going to go next to Burning Abyss, and then just bad. Predaplant is better as an engine. Way better as an engine than a deck. Predaplant branded would probably be the best version of Predaplant, honestly. Like, but in terms of engine, like these 3 engines are just good. Monarchs. How insane do I want to be? Do I actually want to put Monarchs in the ass end of off meta, or do I want to put them in just out bad? You pretty much would have to go first with this deck. I'm going to put them in just flat out bad. Punk. Punk's in tier 2. The Punk variants are still good. I'm going to put it under Naturia. I do feel like the Naturia Runic deck is just better than the Punk deck. I've never lost to it while playing Naturia. Salad. Solid tier 3. Shadal? Better as an engine. One of the better engines, actually. The like Chaos engine is of course an engine. Runic at this point, like playing vanilla Runic, you're really not going to get very far, I feel. But playing Runic like Runic Sprite or Runic Naturia is the way to go. And I feel like Runic is our king of the better up in engine category because it's a hell of an engine. Scareclaw can be an off meta. It can kind of do things. Grasshook Screener, Skull Servants, they're just flat out bad. Sorry, buddies. I love the deck, though. Spellbooks, better as an engine. They also fall into the just flat out bad category. Speedroids, better as an engine. Springens are getting support. They're getting the gigantic archetype to help them out. They're still just flat out bad. I'm sorry, guys, but they're bad. Stardust. The Stardust deck I saw, even in like higher levels of play, it's okay-ish. I'm actually gonna put it behind Eldritch. Sky Strikers, I feel like could be falling into better as an engine. They're losing Terraforming, so they're losing a card that kind of really helps with the consistency of their deck. I don't feel like it's bad enough to be like just flat out bad. Still feel like it's better than Dragon Mage. I'm gonna put right there. 6 Sam, bad. Super Heavy Samurai, I'm just making y'all aware of this. It's bad in the meta right now, but it is doing things in like the actual TCG, and you probably will see Super Heavy Samurai rear its head as a ugly off-meta deck in the future. Thunder Dragon? Thunder Dragon's not bad, honestly. You got a lot going for Thunder Dragon right now, and a lot of things you can do with Thunder Dragon. I feel like it goes pretty much up here with Hero. Subterrors for like Guru control. It's flat out bad right now. Here's where I put Thunder Dragon so you can see it. Sprite. It's fine, they're losing 1 blue. You don't really need 3 blues. The deck is still amazing. The deck still can have a good tier matchup depending on how you build it. You can still pretty much do your negate board shenanigans. The deck's pretty much untouched, and now that tier has been hurt more, I feel like Sprite is going to be back in tier 1 contender territory. Therion, better as an engine. Spiral, just flat out bad this meta. Pendulums, tier 3. Dynamorphia, tier 3 at the very ass end. Melfi is better as an engine. Melfi's probably just fun. Melfi and like pretty much regular Sprite, you just like run the 1 cat basically to add the 1 beast monster to do more shenanigans. I feel like is just decent. So I feel like it falls into better as an engine. Tunes are just flat out bad this meta. They're not good. Trickstar, also flat out bad this meta. Trap Tricks, put him next to GK. Even Dynamorphia is better than him. Unchained, flat out bad this meta. Virtual World, how this deck has fallen. It's off meta. It's at the ass end of off meta, but it's just bad now. Like really bad. Time Lords, they're even worse than GK. I'm actually putting them in just flat out bad. Like they're just too easy to deal with. Rika, they're off meta. They're okay. Put them next to Umi Control. There, you can see him up there. Tri-Brigade is kind of struggling right now, and I see it represented a lot less. I'm actually going to put Numeron ahead of this and this because I don't see the representation. I'm even going to put Dinos ahead of them. Tri-Brigade, because I'm actually going to be comfortable with putting Tri-Brigade and Dragon Link into tier 3. I'm even going to put Dragon Link behind Morensis. Kaiju's better as an engine. Zodiac at this point is better as an engine and to like help certain decks. True Draco, bad. Lots and lots of trains, they're bad. Time Thief, better as an engine. You're pretty much only ever going to use like the 1 XYZ anyway. Orchist, next to BW. Sword Soul is going to pretty much fall down. down, down, next to dinosaurs. And Sword Soul Tenyi is going to be probably the better variant. I'm just going to put them next to each other. And Witchcrafter, it's just flat out bad in this meta. And that is your June 2023 tier list. Let me know if there's anything I missed. Let me know if there's something you want me to see covered next time. And I am out. Bye-bye.